Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Blair.
And I'm Serena. This was a wild one. Let's break down that stunning Denver Broncos victory over the Kansas City Chiefs from Week 11. What a game!
Stunning is right, Serena. 5 one-score losses this season for the Chiefs? That's not exactly a championship formula. I mean, going into this season, who would have thought we'd be talking about the Broncos as a legitimate contender? And questioning the Chiefs' playoff chances this late in the season? It's almost unheard of. So let's start here. What do you think was the single biggest difference maker for the Broncos in this game?
For me, it's Vance Joseph and that Broncos defense. Hands down. I mean, going in, they lost Pat Surtain Jr., Defensive Player of the Year in 2024. So going in, you think the Broncos defense will struggle. However, they looked stifling. Even Romo was praising how well they kept Mahomes contained. It's not just about the sacks. It's about making Mahomes uncomfortable, forcing him to make quick decisions, and preventing him from getting into a rhythm. They really made him have a pedestrian day. It reminded me of the old Broncos defenses, honestly.
I'm with you there. The Broncos are really old school, all about that defense. Their defense has really become their calling card. However, I think the Chiefs' run game issues allowed the Broncos defense to come alive. That ties into a bigger issue for Kansas City, doesn't it? The inability to run the ball consistently. Isaiah Pacheco has definitely taken a step back. And as great as Kareem Hunt was in his prime, he's simply not that guy anymore. The Chiefs are stuck getting, 40 to 50 rushing yards a game?
Exactly. And that's on the higher end some weeks. When you know you can't rely on the run, it puts so much pressure on Mahomes to make every single play. And as brilliant as he is, he can't do it all himself, Blair. It makes them completely one-dimensional and predictable. I'm sure Vance Joseph was licking his chops watching that. It allowed him to dial up pressure, send extra blitzes, and really make Mahomes' life miserable. I really thought the Chiefs needed to trade for a solid running back to elevate their success.
Absolutely agree. I was shocked they didn't make a move at the deadline. I think BMAC was on point when he was discussing about the need to boost the run game. It's a little shocking that they are not trying to find that additional player to elevate success. I do think losing Kareem Hunt impacted that Chiefs' run game more than people expected. I think they're really missing that element to their game. The stats don't lie, though. When you're constantly ranked near the bottom of the league in rushing, that's a recipe for disaster, especially when you're trying to close out close games.
Couldn't agree more. Speaking of closing out games, that throws us right back into the clutch performance of one Bo Nix. He's not Drew Brees, but he's got that it factor.
True. He's not lighting up the stat sheet every week, but the throws he made in the fourth quarter of this game, especially that strike to Franklin, that was the definition of clutch. He might have a lower floor and is prone to mistakes, but the man is a stone-cold killer under pressure.
And people are probably saying second-year quarterback, and look at the guys who Bo Nix has beat out, the Giants and the Eagles. I think he is doing something very special.
Let's be real, those comebacks against Philly and the Giants weren't flukes. He seems to elevate his game when the pressure is highest, right? And let's not forget, this game was decided by the Broncos going on a game-winning field goal drive, a year after having a potential game winner blocked against those same Chiefs. I think Romo mentioned that Sean Payton made sure that field goal was dead center, with the right hash marks, in an almost poetic turn of events to get his redemption arc.
Absolutely. Now let's give credit where it's due. Pat and Joe hit on an important point. The Chiefs are asking a lot from Patrick Mahomes every single week. You know, he's still getting pressured, has to make plays outside the pocket, and quite frankly, has gotten older. He is not in his prime anymore, and cannot be running for his life. And they are still asking him to be Superman!
And even Superman has his off days. Romo was absolutely right. Mahomes had some uncharacteristic misses early in that game, right? Those early mistakes kept the Broncos in it and ultimately changed the entire complexion of the game. Had the Chiefs jumped out to an early lead, I think we're having a very different conversation right now.
100%. But that goes back to the running game, too. They can't establish the run, so the play calling becomes predictable, which means the defense keys on Mahomes' tendencies, and then he's forced to try and do too much.
Totally. Let's talk about Travis Kelce for a second. He had a pretty good game, broke the Chiefs' all-time touchdown record, but I saw what Romo was talking about. It also felt like he was the only receiving threat Mahomes could consistently rely on. Hollywood Brown, Rashid Rice, and Tyquan Thornton are definitely talented, but they have not lived up to their potential yet. especially Tyquan Thornton and Xavier Worthy.
Definitely. I mean, Kelsey is a Hall of Famer, but he's not getting any younger. He can't be the only guy consistently making plays in the receiving game. They need those other guys to step up and take some pressure off of him. Otherwise, defenses can just double-team him all day and dare the other guys to beat them. Speaking of the Chiefs, the panel mentioned how the Chiefs were 0-5 in one-score games. It's almost unbelievable.
I know! 0-5? I mean, statistically, that's just brutal. That stat alone tells you that this team has a serious issue closing out games. And going back to Romo's point, is it possible this is an indication that the Chiefs are not having that complete team effort like we are used to seeing?
And that is concerning because of their performance in standing in the division. I think Romo really made an alarming comment. There is no guarantee that the Chiefs will make it into the playoffs this year. That's a far cry from Super Bowl favorite.
And now that you mentioned the playoffs, the Chiefs are 9th in the AFC, Serena. As BMAC mentioned, that's on the outside looking in. That feels wrong, doesn't it? The Chiefs not being a lock for the playoffs, that being said, Joe and Pat made an interesting point.
Oh, which was?
That the Chiefs are still 2 games behind the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they still have the potential to clinch a wildcard spot or even win the division. Joe really emphasized that the Chiefs still have potential because of Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Mahomes has pulled rabbits out of hats before. Speaking of pulling rabbits, are you buying the Broncos as a playoff contender?
I'm starting to, Serena. Their defense is legit, Bo Nix is playing with confidence, and they've proven they can win close games against good teams.
What about their win streak? Is this all smoke and mirrors?
It really is amazing. Is this all smoke and mirrors? Well, I think they just beat the defending Super Bowl champs. Beating any team is hard, but doing so with such an elite team like the Chiefs is quite the challenge. This win is a testament to their overall grit and resilience, which is something they have been able to establish. I think they are starting to be very confident in their overall system.
BMAC made a great comment about the Broncos' defensive system. This is a perfect game to go back to with an old-school defensive system. They are old school and are doing it well. So much of success in football is doing the fundamentals well, and they are really embracing this.
So in terms of comparing their team strategies, what do you see here? For the Chiefs, it seems they just keep waiting for the big guns to play well. And when they falter, they suffer big time.
Right, relying too much on Mahomes to make every play. They need a more balanced offensive attack and, frankly, a stronger running game. On the other hand, the Broncos are really dialing into the run game. That defensive system keeps opposing teams from getting too far ahead. And that clutch performance by Bo keeps the Broncos in the fight every game.
Overall, I am very excited for a potential Christmas matchup between these two teams. I think it will come down to, can Bo outcompete Mahomes in terms of being clutch and poised? And it'll be exciting.
As Pat kept on stating, this is football. These kinds of games are rare, but highlight the core potential for teams and players. It may not be perfect and clean, but highlights both the team's talent and overall passion for the game.
Right, now that we have talked about what the panel of experts have said, I would like to share a few thoughts. I think a problem with the Chiefs is their struggles with their offensive line. How can Mahomes thrive when the offensive line doesn't support his style of play? The Chiefs may need to invest in some better personnel or focus on training.
And the potential to play in a Super Bowl with that in mind? As Joe mentioned, only 2 teams in NFL history have won the Super Bowl with a .500 record or worse this late in the season: the 2001 Patriots and the 2011 Giants. It may be an uphill battle. It won't be easy, but definitely possible.
I do have to agree, it will be an uphill battle. But with that being said, how will both teams compete against each other? Who is more likely to have more success against the other?
As JJ mentioned, the main challenge for both teams is, can they maintain their styles of play? Will Bo Nix continue to stay clutch? Will the Chiefs have more players on the offensive line? Can Mahomes thrive as the main leader of the team? These elements will dictate what the games will be like.
This is great insights and what to look out for in the coming weeks. To wrap it up, what are your final thoughts on this game?
Overall, I think that Kansas City Chiefs versus Denver Broncos game was interesting because it really highlighted the potential for both teams. I think it provided a huge learning experience and showcased the skills both of teams are capable of pulling off. I also think it showcases that anything can happen in the games.
Absolutely. Well said. That's our take on this game. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.